We are live.
I'm
You're
excited.
kind of your Monday brain dump. So welcome back to Lucas Tigers and Bronzo. If you guys haven't listened, listen occasions PWCC weekly recap. That went live today at like noon. Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged. Cage and Black Jaded Wolf doing their thing. That's going live Wednesday at noon. And we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Weekly ended with PWCC. Golden ended Saturday. Memes galore. There was a ton of sports going on. Soccer, football, basketballs. I mean, we're getting to the part of the football season where it's really, really interesting. So, bunch of stuff to talk about. Any one of those or any topic that's top of mind for you, Cage.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, a lot of memes. One of the things, guys, do us the favor. Check out some of the content we're putting out here. Cajun's content is amazing. The Black Jaded Wolf episode will be released Wednesday. It's our 4th episode of Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged. We get such great feedback on that because it's a different show. And it's the kind of different that I think some of you guys who listen to us might want to hear. One of the topics that I threw out there, and Sharon just really drove it home, is the different feeling in the hobby when you're out there at shows talking to people live, as opposed to just getting all of your information from the very closed Instagram universe of memes and tinfoil hats. And it really is an interesting dichotomy because, you know, if you just paid attention to Instagram over the weekend, you would hear about how Black Friday extended into the auction places and how everybody's getting killed and it's doom and gloom and the Grim Reaper is coming and knocking on the doors and, you know, everything was on sale and the market is getting crushed. But I was getting messages from people who were at the Tarrytown show talking about what a great vibe there was at the show and how it was a long line to get in and how there were a lot of kids and people making trades. When Sharon talked about how in one of our first episodes, she did a great comparison to Comic-Con and how the feel there is different because it's collectors and they're buying things because they want them and they want to display them and they're not worried about, well, I'm going to buy this, but I got to worry about what I'm paying for it because I got to make sure I'm going to be able to sell it in a week or two at the next show or in a month for more money than what I'm paying for it. It's just they're buying because they like it. And she actually said this past week that she saw people coming in and buying, you know, Jason Tatum PSA 10 optic cards for $100-$150 because they just wanted it. Tatum's my guy. I'm going to watch the games. I'm going to put this up on my shelf, and it's a collectible that I want to own. And it's more collecting. The pendulum swinging back in that direction, which I know if you've invested, you know, $100,000 in Evan Mobley RPAs, that's not what you want to hear. But it's just a different side of the hobby. And if you are one of those higher end investors, she talked about somebody like Tyrese Maxey that she might be picking up and did pick up, who was out for a couple of weeks because of injury, even though he's playing great and probably has some great, you know, tread still this season on a great team and, you know, great stuff looking up. But a card that was a $12,000 Maxey RPA a couple of weeks ago before he got hurt and was out of sight, out of mind is now $6,500 that she picked up.
So is the action step there get out from behind our screens and
a little bit
go to a local show?
So it's not that. I don't like tell people what to do because I like staying behind my screen, but realize that the hobby is not just stuck behind a screen. The hobby goes on outside in the real world as well. And I guess our job here is, you know, whether we're at shows, Sharon is at the shows, to kind of let people know that the feeling at shows, the feeling out there is not all doom and gloom. It's not all, you know, sell everything now and run away with your hair on fire.
Well, if you think about it, right, at a show, you kind of get to feel why someone buys a card. Whereas if you're behind the screen, all you have is, you know, a data point and say, is this card going up or down in value, right? Because you don't know, most of the time, you don't know who the buyer is.
Correct.
So you don't know, are they buying that to put in their PC? So that's an interesting take. Anything, will she be at the Philly show this weekend?
She will be at the Philly show. She was at Dallas. She was in Chicago this past, and so Tarrytown yesterday and the day before, and then Chicago the week before that. Different kind of shows. We talked about it, guys, you know, stay tuned for the exciting conclusion here. Episode 3, we talked about the repacks and how you prep to go to a show to sell basically wholesale to repacks. It didn't go the way she thought it was going to go.
Really?
The repackers were rebuffers. So
wow.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah. So if we
I
left you
gotta
with a
I gotta
cliffhanger.
give her a lot of credit, man. She's always has a smile on her face, always good vibes, no matter the nonsense. And I imagine she puts up with a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that we don't get the privilege of seeing, right? Because she has retail buyers, she has this whole business of wholesale.
Yeah, she got to
She has
deal
to
with
deal
me.
with the shows.
I mean, I'm a
Very,
large.
very interesting. Did you have any personal takeaways from the Golden or Weekly? Did you bid on anything on either?
Yeah, so I will tell you that I was bidding on a card in Golden, and the price got too high for me. It definitely beat the prior comp, so it was not like all doom and gloom. And just from a personal standpoint, I was bidding on a card, and it went. I was hoping that the trend line continued down from the prior comp, and it didn't. And once it broke the prior comp by a bit, I was like, all right, I'll wait for the next one. Do I have to say what card it is?
No.
I can if you want. I mean,
It's interesting, man. So you know our group chats and how heated sometimes they
oh
get,
yeah,
right? And how much we love being right, and how much we talk a lot about how the hobby is, you know, measuring. It's a measuring stick, right? For whichever way you want to take that. Sometimes I think after these auctions happen, you know how like an athlete after a losing game or losing performance, you get him up in front of the mic and he says a whole bunch of stuff that he probably wouldn't say 12 hours or 24 hours later when he cools down.
yeah.
Because think about it, man. A lot of the cards I bought, I actually didn't buy at the top. I started buying sort of towards the summer when I'm down a little bit, but I'm not. But it's not always about the money lost. It's you just hate losing.
Yes.
There's just that. Like you want to grind out a win, and when it's loss after loss after loss after loss, there's the amount of money lost, but it's like, man, I can't buy one,
Yep.
And I think collectively, if you kind of picture that across the hobby, then you start getting into that Zach Wilson, did you let us down? No, type of vibe. And you start infighting with each other. And it's not even I think it's definitely a part of the money, but it's also part of that psychological thing. It's like, man, I can't buy a win.
It's true. Well, I mean, that's the hobby gambling side of it. You know what I mean? It's the gambler's fallacy. It's like, all right, well, I got to bet on black. And if red keeps coming up, I'm going to keep putting it on black because black's eventually got to come up, right? Well, it's the same thing. I got to keep in this because eventually I got to pick a winner, right? I gotta buy a card that's going to.
You know what's weird? When I started taking that Tim Sykes day trading class, like one of the first lessons was 90% of traders lose. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It should be closer to like 50. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, 90% of traders lose. And because it's not red or black, it's National Treasure's Flawless Immaculate. Which are you buying the rookie? Or are you buying the horizontal one? Why is the horizontal one 1/10 of the price of the vertical? Wait, 9 out of 99 outsells out of 49. Wait, color match is 6x. It's not like black and white. You have so many options. It's
yeah. There was a Ja rookie numbered out of 12 that sold for less than a Ja rookie numbered out of like 99. Some Pulsar or something or other. There was a Luca rookie BGS 9.5. I think it was the purple Pulsar, maybe.
I was looking at it. It was like $1,000 all week.
Yeah, and I was like, that, but nobody wants it, even though it's significantly less.
I think out of 35 or out of 42, that card was sitting at like 1,000.
Pink Pulsar is out of 42. I think the purple one was 35. I think there's a green out of 25. I mean, there's all kinds of these, but they're the fast break disco, ones that look like they have warts, the little bubbles on them, whatever the heck they are. I mean, yeah, you're right. That's the barrier to entry. That's the education. That's you could pick the right guy, but not the right card. You could pick the right guy, the right brand, and not the right, release, not the right number in that release. It can be Prism, but the wrong Prism. You're right, man. It's definitely difficult. So what happens? Do people just escape? Do they leave? Do you go run away?
I was actually going to say World Cup's been such good escapism for me. Because honestly, you want to take your mind off some stuff. Like time is sometimes time is like all you need, right? We can't change the market overnight. We don't know where the bottom is. We don't know when it's going to correct. We don't know what Fanatics is going to. There's a whole. Sometimes, like we talked about it a few days ago, or maybe yesterday. Like I think your best quality is sitting on your hands sometimes.
I'm sitting on it right now.
Are you? They're dirty. You just ate a bunch of wings.
Yeah, I have to wipe my hands on something.
You're supposed to go in your pockets.
All right, one of them in my pocket. But if I put my hand in my pocket, man, while I'm looking at you, I don't know. I don't know.
Did you miss all of football Sunday because of you went to Beetlejuice?
No, I got home just in time to see the Raiders win in overtime. Josh Jacobs turned it to Jim Brown.
He's
He had an
always been
86-yard touchdown run in overtime to win the game. Second straight overtime win. You know what's the best part about the Raiders winning? Ian gets to wear his Derek Carr jersey to school. I don't get a lot of mileage out of that jersey.
Are they going to have a future with Derek Carr, or is this a team that could trade Derek Carr and get a rookie quarterback and do some stuff with their weapons?
I think they probably could move Derek Carr, get a rookie quarterback, and add some weapons. I think that might. Carr's he's a serviceable quarterback. He's good enough, but I think yes. I think the recipe is you have to hit that guy. I mean, look at the teams right now that are favored to win the whole thing, right? And it's Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen, and the field, right? So that means you have a 17, 18, 19 quarterbacks, right? They're in there. I mean, Mahomes just signed, right?
It's not a good year for veteran quarterbacks, that's for sure.
But I would probably go that route. But the problem is for every Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts, there's 20 other guys you can name. There's Zach Wilson's and Sam Darnold's and Baker Mayfield's and all the myriad of names.
So I'm listening to this episode. I'm 12 minutes in, and I'm thinking, is this the week I buy Jordan Love? Is this the week I buy Mike White?
Sell Jordan Love.
Sell. But they're just stepping into a new opportunity. What if Mike White takes this Jets team to the playoffs? Why is he not a buy?
So Mike White could be a buy. There's not a lot of cards on him, which also helps. He was a Dallas late draft. He could be a buy, but Mike White is not the answer. Mike White, if the Jets are really what Jet fans think they are, they have to get a legitimate quarterback. Mike White is a placeholder for them. Mike White is somebody who has a limited upside and most likely will be looking at like a Tyrod Taylor type of contract offer for him.
Nicky Foles came in midseason with a team that was motivated, had some weapons.
Yes.
And because the other teams couldn't game plan, he was able to do some
And I'm
stuff.
glad you went Nick Foles because how many people have made money investing in Nick Foles cards?
Just show promoters who could get him for an autographed book now.
Exactly.
And he wins the
So, yeah, I mean, that is the ceiling for him. That Nick Foles is a great ceiling, and I don't see too many people investing in guys who have Nick Foles as a ceiling. Mike White's probably a very nice guy. I hope he gets paid. I hope he makes his money.
You have 6 to 8 weeks here with him.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. I mean, everybody's already jumping on his stuff. You know, you already saw people, posting, buying. This I would be selling now. By the way, not to toot my own horn here. We talked about this on the Black Jada Wolf episode too. I don't want to give the whole episode away, but Sharon, who's been doing this for quite some time, says in football, the hot streak is more important than even the Super Bowl. And that's why she sold her Jalen Hurts cards. And why you've seen it over and over again. The same kind of thing, right? So Jordan Love.
Thinking, where do I go with all my Kirk Cousins money? Now I'm like, where am I taking my
yeah, I mean, listen, Jordan Love. My problem with Jordan Love is if Rodgers couldn't make it work with this team, Love is not going to make it work with this team. And I know Rodgers just got hurt, but
I wanted to put the Jordan Love in context. So
yeah,
he had 113 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
63 of them were on one play, and it was a play that the wide receiver made. It was just a basic slant that Watson took to the house. Just to contextualize.
Right. 7 for 9.
Huh?
He did look good. He stepped into some throws. He had some snap on his arm. There was one play where you would think Rodgers would make it. He was rolling out to the right, had a receiver in the end zone, and Love short-armed it. It was one of his two. The other incomplete was a nice back shoulder throw that the receiver should have caught on the sidelines. But he was 7 of 9. I watched all of his throws. I watched today and now he's a guy I'm going to pay attention to, even though I don't own a single card of his anymore because it's another one of those like woulda, coulda, shoulda.
That's not your game.
It's not. It was very outside of the norm for me. But I was trying something
Jordan
fun.
Love cards is like for you, like that late night text, like sending out that text at 2 a.m.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
That's not your.
It was
thing.
a gamble.
Like, you're like that was Cage 20 years ago. I don't need to stoop to that level anymore.
No, it was like let's have some fun. It's football season's going to start, and I said that the exits, right? He could get traded. He could get traded around the trade deadline. He might be able to start, or I can hold him until next year.
But Cage quickly realized that the fun he's going to get from the uncertainty is not worth it because you hate uncertainty.
I hate uncertainty.
So
It's
he's
not
like,
my love language or whatever it is you talk about. The basic human needs.
6 basic human needs: certainty and
Right.
uncertainty.
One of them is a razor.
During times like this where Apple's not going to allow Twitter to be on the iPhone, and this company's suing this one for a marketing campaign, and the hobby and prices are going down, and FTX scandal. What happens? Uncertainty goes through the roof. And then you add to that micro uncertainty. Oh, if I run this card on auction, will I get last comp or will I get 50%? Another level of uncertainty, right? So you stack this uncertainty, and that's why there's so much anxiety in the system. Dude, the 6 human needs are legit.
They are legit. The wings I was eating before we started are legit too.
Are legit. You guys want a quick update from the World Cup? Tomorrow's Iran and America. Tyler Adams handled that question really well. I thought that was kind of a little condescending by the reporter, but really loving this World Cup. Really loving this World Cup. And I'll tell you, man, here's through this point, I have my best team, my best player, and 2 up-and-coming stars. Okay, and you could ask any other questions that you'd like. Okay,
go ahead.
Best team, and they do have weaknesses at center back if you run at them. But in my opinion, the best team right now is Portugal. That team is the most complete team. You have a veteran presence, Pepe, Ronaldo. You have such interesting playmakers. And ironically, the young player that I would look out for, João Feliz, is on this team, man. I love watching. There was a play in between this game where he went up to Ronaldo and he was like asking questions. I love humble young guys because in today's world where these guys get paid a lot of money, you see a lot of ego from players at 18, 19, 20, 21. I love this João Feliz guy as a young player. And my second young player to watch out for, amazing passer of the ball, Vinny. Vinny is just on another level. Neymar wasn't playing today. He won't play next game. Just making just beautiful passes all the way through. And the best player, and it's by a mile, Cage. And he is easily the most athletic player in this World Cup, and it's Mbappe.
Okay.
You're looking at me hella crazy. Those are pretty like straight down the middle. No, I don't think there's anything surprising about that.
As far as best team, I don't know whether Portugal's the best team. They're one of 3 teams that have advanced after 2 games. That's pretty impressive to get into the round of 16. I mean, obviously,
best team when you like. So I'll go into more detail. So most people would say Spain's the best team, but here's the issue: you blow out Costa Rica 7-0, but the reality is it's still a young team. Your center midfield, and I love Gavi and Pedri. It remind me of Iniesta and Xavi back in the day. What happens as the World Cup wears on? World Cups are more physical than traditional matches. Okay,
Yep.
So these young guys get worn down. You need experience as this thing plays on. And I'm worried that Spain is more skilled, they play beautiful soccer, but these young guys haven't been through it yet. And I'm not sure who their main guy is. It's not Ferran Torres. It's not Alvaro Morata. It's not Busquets. When push comes to shove, it's not going to be Pedri and Gavi who are able to get him over in that extra time. If you remember when Spain played Netherlands, it was in like the 113th minute where Iniesta's experience came through and they scored a goal. So that's my worry. I think Spain is an amazing team. Portugal has that youth, but they have the experience.
I mean, all right. I talked about Fernandez's passing after that first game. I mean, dude was good. He scored a goal.
Bruno Fernandes, yeah.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes, number 8. He scored a goal on a pass today.
He did.
Ronaldo tried to take credit for it.
And then he had a PK. They have an interesting blend of players.
Uruguay gave him basically all they could handle.
Who did?
Uruguay, the team they played today.
Uruguay and Mexico are an interesting style of defense where they're going to nick at your heels the entire game in that middle section that doesn't matter and just chop at you. It's their style. I don't love that style of soccer. I really don't love it, but that was a physical game, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I liked watching it. The best game of the day was South Korea against Ghana. That was an amazing game. Cho with 2 goals to even it up, and then Ghana comes right back and scores a 3rd goal. It's weird, the rankings, they call that a humongous upset. I don't consider it that. I mean, I don't know, how they come up with the rankings the way that they do, but it's fun to watch. I'll tell you from the Portugal game, what I don't know soccer for shit, right? But I do know sports and I know what I'm watching. I know,
Let's
competition.
have
I
the
can see.
discussion.
So what I love about it is probably what a lot of people hate. So Pulisic, I don't know how to say his name, Pulisic. He looks like a whiner out there, right? He looks like a whiner. And I said that, and I'm wrong because I compared him to Ronaldo. And I watched Ronaldo today, right? And he was subbed out late in the game. I guess, they bring in some, faster
They
guys.
have to they have to sub 3 guys at the end at once,
Right.
so they had to take 3 guys off.
So they subbed him out. Could have used him for the penalty kick later, but it is what it is. They still scored. That little hop, skip, weird, jumpy kick.
Dude, Fernandez is a very weird guy. If you watch his antics, he's a very
I like him though. Complete player. But so Ronaldo, he looks like he's whining, right? He looks like he's very animated out there. He's like very, and I like to think like he's trying to annoy the other team, but it's not. He's not just pressuring the other team. He's actually pressuring his own team in a good way. It's almost like challenging these guys. It's like, hey, I'm running now. I'll put my hand up. Like, you got to press. He'll come back further when they're not doing the offense. And he is, it's like I didn't realize this until watching basically 40 games of soccer in the last couple of weeks, that you can almost coach on the field through like they're almost like calling plays. Like he's a scoring player. I don't know what the hell you call him. Midfield, I have no idea.
He's a striker. He has an eye for goal. He wants to score on every play.
Most of those guys, they stay where they are. They stay there for when the ball gets pushed up. You could see when they're having a difficult time moving the ball up, he'll move further and further back to try to get back and get the ball and move it up. And also put his arms up, oh, let's go, I'm running, so it's fun to watch. I've talked to people. I went to the post office today. I sent a bunch of cards out. I sent a bunch of stuff out, and the guy collects. He's like, I can't watch it. It's boring. And I'm like, well, you got to watch the game within the game. And now I feel like an idiot because I didn't realize any of this shit. Because it's 0-0 and it's a tie, it's 1-1, but there's so much more action going on within the game. I appreciate the sport a little bit more after watching this.
Let's contextualize that because that's legit. And people were like, for maybe a second, they're like, what's Cage talking about? And I was with them. And then you took me. I totally agree. And that game within a game is what the U.S. needed during that Wales second half. You need your main guy to come and find the ball.
Yep. Yeah.
It absolutely is a game within a game because in a lot of ways it's sort of a boxing match, right?
There's
times when one team's pressuring, there's times another team, there's times where it's kind of in the middle and no one. Not any other observations? I like this.
Let's see. So the kid Cho for South Korea, they have another player who I was looking for. I'll say his name wrong, but I didn't see him. Was he injured? Was he not out there? He was like one of these guys.
I got to be honest. No, I'll put it this way. I have tremendous empathy for the commentators and the announcers who have to learn the South Korean names because I think that's a challenge.
No, but there was one that everybody was buying.
Oh, yeah, on Tottenham.
Yeah, but I didn't even see him.
Heung-min Son. He was just playing. Heung-min Son, number 7.
But, I mean, listen, that was a back and forth, lot of offense in that game. And the last 10 minutes, even though there was no goal scored, if you want action, I mean, the Ghana team was just under attack. Like South Korea was throwing it all at them there at the end.
If you guys ever want to go on YouTube and watch like old school games, Ghana, Uruguay, when Suarez saved the goal off the line with his hand, and then Asamoah Gyan shanked penalty kick. One of the greatest games I've ever watched.
That's a good game to go take
Ghana,
a bite
Uruguay.
Of.
If you guys ever want to watch highlights.
Suarez got subbed in late in the game today. He almost had a goal.
He's so ugly looking, and he always looks like he's trying to bite someone, doesn't it?
He is a biter. That's what he does. That's what he does. No, I mean, listen, it's funny because I probably will watch the game tomorrow.
It's going to be a tough match. It's going to be.
I'll record it and pick up Ian from school.
Smart.
And then we can watch it together. Like I won't watch the first half. Like I'll record it and then watch.
You don't have to watch halftime. It's a dream.
Yeah, something like that. So it'll be fun because I mean, people tuning in. The England-US game was like the most watched soccer game in America like ever. It was one of those like most watched soccer games since like the Brazil final.
So I love macroeconomics. I don't think it's like a science and an exact, but it's fun to watch. So the football game, the Giants-Cowboys, was also like one of the record watch games on Thanksgiving. And what I thought it was like, that shows that the economy is slowing and it is affecting not just cards, but everybody. Like when everybody's at home watching stuff.
Or just sports are growing. Maybe people are watching sports, and people like sports. I think you're probably right, but it could be the other.
It could be that. I could
It's
make
funny.
the
I was
argument
thinking about this the other too, how the game's changed and how it's difficult to compare across generations, because somebody on SportsCenter or one of the affiliate shows was talking today about how Jason Tatum is averaging over 30 points. And if he does that, I should look this up before mentioning it. He'd be the first Celtic to ever average over 30 points. But
I think a good way to measure is per 100 possessions.
I know, but we average points per game is just something that's always been done, right? And you know what Jordan averaged, but Larry Bird, Bill Russell, none of these guys ever averaged 30 a game for a season.
I'd imagine though this is where the argument gets good. I think like Bird averaged 25 points a game, but the average team would score like 85 to 95, and it was 70 possessions.
Yeah.
70. Yeah. Now, like some teams put up 100 shots.
So you're coming up with a good way to compare across because there's different possessions and 3-point shots and the whole.
Dude, this is why basketball and football is growing in popularity. The average casual fan doesn't care. They're like, wow, he's scoring more in football, scoring more in basketball, more points, more assists. All these records are broken. Where in baseball, it's the reverse.
Baseball just need to move the fences in.
There's one, or let them step. Royd, I got to tell you, man, I think something I'm watching in the sports card market is when prices are high, it's one thing, but when prices, I remember like the Zion, the Bowl era, right when all of this started, you'd see these like prospects that were $1 or $2 shoot to $30. And then everything, remember how like Top Shot, the entire floor moved? Yep. And like even the cheapest player was like $50. You're like, I'm not buying this guy for $50, right? I feel like the floor again is back down where Ivica Zubac, or I said his name wrong, who just had a 31 and 29 point game. His cards are like $1. For them to go from 1 to 20, that's a huge jump. But do you see that too? Like I think kind of prospecting is back.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, on the right guys, 100%.
Well, the right guys are pennies. You can get some of these guys who like. If an Anthony Edwards base is $20, if a Zion base card is $20, how much is Kobe White?
We talked about at the beginning of the year, like a guy who came out of nowhere, like Devin Vassell, who started off hot for
that guy.
Spurs. Like all my Panini cards disappeared. You know what I mean? People probably were looking for his cards in the dollar boxes, selling them for a couple bucks on eBay and wherever else. It's interesting stuff, man. I mean, the prospecting it's definitely fun. Let's see. I want to hammer home one other point because I want to give you all the credit in the world for this. The buybacks. I never heard anybody mention hobby buybacks before you mentioned it a couple weeks ago. And then we have this MVP program, buybacks. For anybody listening who hasn't DM'd us, we obviously will answer you. But some people are like, yeah, this is, my hobby store is not going to do it. There are online stores like I think Blowout, David Adams, like you can redeem them online. So just do a little Google search on that one. But I
want to piece of the game.
What'd you say? Yeah, piece of the game. A lot of places have it, right? So
like you could ship them your cards.
Let me tell you one other thing, because again, I give you all credit for it. There were on Panini Digital, which may or may not be dead, right? But on Panini, sorry Panini, but shit happens. On Panini Digital, there were packs that they made during the peak of this stuff that were selling for a lot of money, and people bought them, including myself. And then they just stopped. No one was buying them anymore. They're just sitting there. Like, for example, Prism packs of football, just a regular Prism NFL pack. Came with 5 digital cards in it, high print count on them all. So very difficult in the secondary market. You got like one random insert or like that kabooms in there, but they were really hard to get. There's golds also really hard to get. One of one's the whole deal. And I guess they realized that that's one example. There were other ones that those packs weren't selling at the price point that they had them at. So on Black Friday, they reduced the price, but more importantly, they gave pack for pack to anyone who bought these packs, the specific packs like that football Prism at the high price, and they're not a discounted pack. They give another pack. And then once they're done this past weekend, they burn the rest of them. So you're talking about burning stuff. You're talking about buying back. Like they're killing the supply. They're doing all this stuff. So, I mean, if anybody wants some cards, message me because I got 360 NFL Prism packs sent to me for free this morning.
It's funny, man. You won't sit on Jordan Love flawless cards, but you will sit on Panini Digital.
I'm not sitting on it. What am I sitting on?
Oh yeah, you sold a lot of.
Yeah, I don't have it left.
So some things about the hobby are difficult, but some of this stuff it is basic econ, right? Like it is supply and demand. And you would think that the people at these companies understand oversupply of junk cards will hurt them in the end.
Yeah.
And they need to find ways to get them off the market, and they need to find ways to get value. And one form of value is cash back in the consumer's pocket. If you get money back in the consumer's pocket, more than likely they're going to eventually find a way to put it back into the system.
Well, you can sell these packs. So they were selling this morning for like $2 a pack, which is too cheap and shouldn't sell for that. But for a while people like me are getting 300 of them for free, I'm not selling them, but you could sell them. And then at $2, they take a 5% fee. So that's 10 cents per pack they're making that they weren't making before. And when someone opens the pack in the secondary, they're taking 5% of all the secondary sales. I opened one pack this morning just because I'm like, oh, are these real packs? Let me open them up. Open one pack. I got a Trevor Lawrence rookie silver out of 300, serial number 16. I got his jersey number.
Of Trevor Lawrence?
Of Trevor Lawrence. In my one pack I opened, I got a serial number 16, silver.
One pack magic, man.
Yeah, magic.
It's a great feeling hitting in a pack, isn't it?
Yeah, people love it. But that's
it feels like free money.
Man. We crap on like the gambling of it, right? Like, oh, I got to be right. I'm going to be wrong so many times, right? We crap on the breaking, but it is fun, right? I mean, we are,
it's addictive. It's addictive.
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody in the hobby today, and the gist of it was people collect differently, and that what turns him on is not what turns anybody else on, and that's okay. I think there's got to be what?
Funko Pops turn this guy on.
No, just different kind of collecting and the whole deal, and not caring what kind of slab the cards are in and blah blah blah. But I think once we kind of get out of each other's way and realize that there's a lane for everybody and everybody can have their own lane, it makes it fun again. And it makes room for a bunch of grading companies, and it makes room for a bunch of auction houses, and it makes room for a bunch of different ways of doing your cards, So, yeah.
I think the hobby community gets a bad rap. I think the culprits of the hobby are the businesses, and I think that community is just jaded because they've seen it a lot. Like, if you really think about it, think about how many shows happen, think about how many interactions, and we see like a broken-in shop once a month. We see a fight at a show once a month. We see someone stealing a slab once a month, and then the community posts about it, and someone finds it in like a day.
Yeah, that's headlines, though. That's it.
It's in theory, how many participants? It could happen a lot more.
Yes.
So everyone says like we jump down each other's throats, maybe in IG comments and stuff. But really, it's like, dude, we've been disenchanted by a lot of bad business practices.
Well, when we go hobby optimism, our listens are down. I think that's what you're trying to say. But we're still going to go hobby optimism.
I've never understood the optimism pessimism. There's days that I'm optimistic. There's days that I'm always optimistic about the future, but I could be annoyed about the present moment.
That's true. So what annoys you today?
I want my cards to sell for more money. What are you talking about?
How about, so somebody asked me a question, and I think you're uniquely situated to talk about it.
You weren't expecting that answer.
So of course, I know what answer I'm going to get from you every time. I know what answer I'm going to get from you before I even ask you the question. Here we go.
Simpleton.
You are. Conversation idea for the show. Non-paying bidders and how much of a drain on liquidity in the market that is. The idea that you can run a 7-day auction, have to wait 5 days or more for a buyer to pay, only not to get paid. It's a huge issue. All those days, maybe weeks of a sales cycle. Who knows what happens when you go to sell again? It definitely pushes people away. What say you?
It takes.
Thank you, Brady, for your question.
So there's this concept called the velocity of money, right? And I think about it a lot. Like, it's like if the gist of it. I'm not going to do a good job, guys. So maybe like go and learn about it better from someone who's more situated to teach you. But it's basically, it's not just like if I could double my money from now until the end of the year, that's great. But if I could get 10% on my money every month, I could do better. Okay. And that concept applies here. So like if when things are good and I sell a card, I run an auction 7 day and I get paid on the 8th day and I get money in my account on the 9th day, I reinvest that money back into the market on the 10th day. That industry is kind of like fueling itself. Where in this scenario, I sell an item 7 days. It might take 5 or 7 more days for me to get paid. Non-paids go up. If I don't get paid, I don't put money back into the system and I have to relist it. It's the whole velocity of money. It's absolutely true. It's an amazing observation. I think it's one of those things that there's not much you could do about it now, but cycles follow these trends or patterns, and we're going to see another bull market and we're going to see another market like this. And I think for the next time this thing plays out like this, you'll be able to maybe take your money off the sidelines sooner and be able to buy during periods of time like this. You'll be able to spot this from afar because this is, for me, the first time I'm going through this.
Right.
And if I was smarter, I might have sold 6 months earlier. And here's not even sold earlier. I might have stayed out of the market for 3 months later. I might have just been a little bit more patient with my reentry than I was. So it's one of those things that, like, they say knowledge is good, but experience is really what you're looking for. It's one of those things that's the experience.
I like it. So we got some soccer. I bought some wings, and Ian said, "Are we really going to watch the football game tonight? It's the Colts against the Steelers." You made a good comment, like, who cares about any of the matchups from this week?
Well, dude, next week we have Bengals Chiefs and we have Dolphins Niners. And it's a fun time in the NFL season. This is when some of the best games happen because everyone knows the playbook. Like, the teams are in full swing. They're playing good football. It's exciting time. We're going to do a show with Cajun tomorrow about NBA. I'm going to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. And in today's culture, we love these awards and we love stats. Like, all the advanced metrics said Gobert was an amazing defender, right? But all it took was to watch the NBA for a few games to realize he couldn't cover guards. So all the advanced metrics could say he's an amazing defender. But in today's day and age where you have to be able to switch, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. So we're going to talk a little bit about NBA tomorrow. Anything else top of mind for you? I'm loving the World Cup. It's a huge escapism for me.
I am enjoying it more than I thought I would.
Do you know? Did you watch the Pele in the PWCC auction?
Yes.
What is that card called? I have the name of it.
It's like Aquarella or something like that. I can't say any of these.
Editora Aquarella.
Yeah, Aquarella. See,
I think that's his best card, by the way.
It's a cool looking card.
It has a blue number on the back or a black number on the back. Yeah. Do people care?
I mean, they'll care which one is the rarest one. That's storytelling, I think.
Yeah, but that's all just going to depend on PSA. Okay, and why has that card only started hitting the market in June, July? Do you know?
I saw it before because this is what happens. People find these things. Like the Gazzetta one that I bought last year, that all of a sudden the pop of it kind of came out of nowhere when people realized you could start cutting up the card, and that was a mistake I made on that one. This one, people will find them too. Because Pele stuff, I'm telling you, they're not even really cards. These are not like even the 58 Alifa Baloget. It's like a stamp. Look at it, it's tiny. People don't even realize, until you get one in your hand, you don't realize how tiny the damn thing is. It's because of this search and the price discovery for these things, in a graded slab. All of a sudden it was like, all right, Michael Jordan. All right, well, we're gonna go back vintage, and we're gonna go outside of baseball and we're gonna get basketball vintage. Oh, well, let's get Muhammad Ali, and let's find Pele, and let's find.
How does that happen? Like, every so often the hobby discovers like a new card that hasn't.
No, this time around was a huge discovery period. There was never, I don't believe, anything like this where it branched out into different sports and did this. Right? I don't think we've ever seen a period like this. The late 80s, we branched out into other brands, but it was grading that did this, right? Because you were able to find, those Pele cards. They existed. Those Futera cards that were out there, they existed, right? The F1 racing cards. They just weren't slabbed.
So what happens is like you have that card laying around, you don't even think twice about it. Then you see like a sale, you're like, holy shit, I have that
got
card.
that. Yeah, exactly.
That just sold for $35,000, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna hit up my friend to find out how to submit that card.
Exactly. Think if you want to just take it down to a level that you'll get, and I think our listeners will get, because
are you insulting my intelligence?
No. Not from intelligence level, from a community level. Because was it? Oh, Yamwax did it. Remember, he found those Tomy unscratched cards from 1997. They were Pokemon cards.
The one you sent to Ian?
The one that he sent to Ian, right? And no one had graded them because they were just these like game cards. They weren't like the Pokemon cards you graded, but all of a sudden we had this expansion out into these things. And he was buying packs on like Yahoo Japan or wherever the heck he was buying these things. And the first one that graded a 9 unscratched Charizard sold for like $40,000 or some craziness like that. But then more of them hit, more of them came up.
So then is the move like, let's say you have a relationship with a grading company and there's a card that hasn't been graded by them, but you think that it should be. And you start to collect some of that card and eventually go to the grading company and you say, hey, like this card, it meets all the criteria of, of cards you should grade. Would you guys grade it? They're like, sure. And slowly since you've bought up a large supply of the ungraded stuff, slowly you start sending them the stuff and slowly.
Congratulations. You've just written the biography of David Peck. 1982 Wrestling All-Stars. Exactly what he did. And he was thought of as a lunatic with very long blowout threads about the 1982 Wrestling All-Stars.
They thought he was a lunatic?
Yeah, he writes crazy threads. And all of the other wrestling
He's the one that writes the thread about himself being a lunatic?
Yeah, he writes the threads about these cards and why these cards are awesome and how.
And people
there's another one.
You're an idiot. No one wants these guys in Speedos.
I mean, you go back and read them. It's pretty funny. But now it's like he's the godfather of cards. I mean, he was the one. There are certain wrestling cards that he was the first one to grade.
And do you need to also do the marketing behind it and explain to people why these
storytelling matter? Unless you just want to collect them yourself.
It's funny. Storytelling is like a good word. It's like Disney World storytelling. Marketing is like evil. It's the same exact word.
Too. It's the same thing.
But you know what I'm saying? Like how the word matters.
The difficult part of it is when you have something that there's more of out there and you turn the spigot off on purpose. I told people for the longest time to be careful with that Michael Jordan Nike promo. Remember how much people were paying for that damn thing? And I don't think there's been an auction in the last 2 years that didn't have at least 3 of them, no matter what auction house it is. So it's, I mean, you just got to be careful with the price discovery on these things. I'm guilty of it. I fell victim to it myself. There were other Pokemon cards that came out that, the card ass versions and, these prism looking, things. I'm like, oh, wow, it's the only one. Nobody really cares. I guess just don't get too cute. is what I would say. If you like that Pele, great. But realize that if it just came out 6 months ago, there's probably going to be more of them found.
By the way, so every box was checked on that Pele because it was one of the nicest 4.5s I've ever seen. One of the things I guess with perforated is they don't like when there's like a few of them that aren't perforated. I don't know if that makes sense, but you guys could like look that up. I think they got dinged pretty heavy for that. But I was like, man, a lot of these are hitting the market right now, so I'm going to hold off. I think I have a new criteria, Cage. As I'm going through weekly, it's, can I get this card again? Can I buy this card again? It's actually a really interesting filter because guys, this next week, if you guys thought Thanksgiving was when you feast, this Sunday is when you feast. This is going to be the biggest weekly auction, I think, in the history. They're probably going to have, they have 12,000 items right now. But what was this? Oh, will I be able to get this card again?
It's a good one.
If it's a yes, I better love it. I better love it at the price, love it in the grade, love the card. Then I'm like, okay. But like, if I could get this card again, I'm like, I'll move on.
Aren't you defining scarcity?
Yes, because it was defined to me improperly for the last 2 years, looking at pop reports and all that stuff. But sometimes they are they only tell part of the story and they don't tell what the future will look like. You have to still apply your own intuition to like, okay, this is the pop report now. What was the pop report a year ago? What was the pop report 5 years ago? And what's it going to look like a year and 5 years from now too? And then what are also kind of the similar cards that are relatable to this? What are the pop reports for those going to look like? You know?
I mean, 100% right. 100% right. Look at you, man. Check out the big brain on Brad.
It's actually, I get a lot more headaches now because I think way more. The hobby's tough, man. The hobby, like, screw college. Go to hobby school.
Hobby school. I like it.
School well, you learn math, you learn negotiating, you learn sales, you learn marketing, you learn digital content if you go that route. You learn videography. You learn supply and demand and microeconomics. You understand macroeconomics, networking. You do learn a lot of stuff if you want to do it the right way.
So, what are you looking for? That's
money. Do you not listen?
Oh, what cards are you looking for?
Anything
from the World Cup? Are you looking for,
I want a Pele card.
You want to wait a second. I said Pele when we did our episode. You're like, that's not the World Cup. So I say, hey, you watch the World Cup. Who do you want to buy? You say Pele.
I'm a child, dude. Of course I'm going to react like that. I'm going to have
outbursts. It's okay. It's all right. You're allowed. Nobody in the World Cup who's like, oh, wow, that's the guy. I got to get that guy.
Well, I wanted to buy a nice Mbappe, and they were chilling all week. And then in extended, they went like 4.5x of where they were all week, which didn't even make sense. I was looking at the red prism one. Because I do think some players are better in national team jerseys than club. Because I don't think he's going to be at PSG forever, but I think he's going to always be remembered as French, obviously.
This is part of the difficult thing. I mean, I was buying Mbappe cards in 2019.
Okay.
And I thought, all right, well, the prism's starting to run. I'm going to buy the optic. I bought the optic. And I bought the optic refractor in PSA 10. I bought like a lime green one in PSA 10. They were like the first ones graded. I feel like $100 for these things. I'm sure they're worth more now. But I bought those, and then I was showing them in our group. People were like, no one wants that one. It's got the wrong jersey. I'm like, what? Like, what do you? Because there's like two versions of his optic. And one's like the France one, and one's the PSG one. And I'm like, all right, I got the wrong one. Like, what did I do? I don't know soccer.
But that's because everything was so narrative driven. Like when it comes to a new market, that's just they probably heard that from the David Peck of the soccer market.
Maybe.
Right? Like how David Peck created 1982 All-Stars and he was like, buy this one, not this one, because this one is the right one. Right? Someone else told those people that like, hey, that's the wrong jersey one. But eventually, I think if you watch the market and you don't listen to people, the market will always kind of tell you. The market will speak. It'll speak quieter, but it'll be the right answer over time, maybe.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
I mean, I think Mbappe, my point with Mbappe was he has 4 different really positive things that could happen to him in the next 9 to 12 months, right? So he's going to have these stats as like a young player. He's going to beat Pele. He probably will be the highest goal scorer at the World Cup. Chances are France is going to be in the semifinals and finals, so he could win the World Cup, and then he's going to move to Real Madrid. I think all of those are positive.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of a knock on him for staying with PSG. I understood why he was doing it, but I mean, people definitely did. That was not received favorably by the soccer hobby heads. I'm sure a move to Real Madrid would be.
Hey, soccer's crazy because you don't know what's true or not. Like, remember? I went to a Heat playoff game and I told you Messi was coming to Miami.
Yes.
And it never happened.
Yeah, they're talking about it again.
I don't understand.
I mean, listen, this is part of the headlines, right? Sensational headlines.
But they're always like sources. They're near a deal.
Headlines don't sell papes. Newsies sell papes. You know what that's from?
Half-Baked.
No, it's from Newsies. It's a Disney movie and a show. No, you never heard of it? Like the kids selling papers and stuff. Christian Bale was in it, not Gareth Bale. Bring it back to the World Cup. That guy made stuff happen.
Are you going to the office this week?
Yeah, I'll be in the office a couple times this week. Nice and easy. I'm trying to think what the hell else I have this way we can wrap it up. Okay, one last thing.
Yes.
Lessons learned from Cage at the end of the Monday brain dump here. Okay, set building. It more often than not is not the right thing to do unless you want to collect the set. All right. Go for the best item. Go for the star. Don't build a set. So
This is
you guys,
biased advice.
okay, talk to me.
Well, this is because you should have bought the Charizard and not bought all the other pieces of the
So not just the Charizard, right? So it's not just Charizard. Um, the better pieces from the set, right? Or I guess if you just have to build a set and you're completist, great. But I guess my lesson learned, so you want to call it biased or whatever it is, you can add your set building story in when I'm done, if you like. Go ahead. What set have you ever built? Shut up. So here we go, right? So my set building is this. Let's just say you have $20,000 to build to put into cards, and you believe that Pokemon is going to be what blows up. You probably would have been better off putting that $20,000 into a bunch of Pikachus instead of $20,000 buying the Pikachu and the energies and the Beedrills and the Arcanines and the whole, the set. Because I have started selling that. And I will tell you that the Pikachus and the Bulbasaurs and the Pikachu red and yellow cheeks, the
they
Squirtles,
hold value.
those are significantly higher still than what I paid for them. Whereas all of the other no-name parts of the set are back to, if not lower, than what I paid for them. So obviously, that kind of sucks, and it is what it is, and they all went up, and I could have probably sold it for more, but everything's down, even Pokemon. But the lesson I learned, and yes, it's a biased lesson, but I like to give the folks who listen to us, tales of my collecting. You like to rip off. You're not even in cards. You don't buy cards.
Well, what I mean by biased is you could have bought the Zard, but you bought the other.
Right, but you don't have to. I didn't buy the Zard because I wasn't ready to put $40,000 or $50,000 into one card right off the bat. I didn't have $40,000 right off the bat. I had 4. I had 10. I used the 4 to buy a Bulbasaur. It was the biggest card I could buy at the time in the PSA 10%. And then I started taking chunks out of the other set. Now, that other 5 or 10 grand that I had, it would have been better off not buying the set and buying just Pikachus, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
So if, let's say, you go back and you could have used that 10K to buy the Bulbasaur, do you wait another 3 months until you save up 50?
Possibly.
Even if the Zard goes up from 40 to 50, you buy the Zard?
Possibly. But I mean, the thing is, maybe that Zard went from 40 to 80. And if I would have put that 10 into 5 or 10 Pikachus, that 10 would be worth 20, and I could put that to see. The thing is, it's like time in the market rather than trying to time the market. I guess what I'm saying, just so that people get this, is most of our people don't build sets anyway. But like, if you're out there and you happen to like the Power and the Key set from 93, 94 Ultra, and you think that's a set that's gonna make money over time, buy 2 Jordans. Don't buy a Jordan and then fill it out with Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson, blah, blah, blah. Unless you really want to build the set and you want to own the set, go right ahead and own the set. If you're buying the Beam teams, unless you really want to own a Beam team set, buy 2 Jordans and a Shaq. Don't buy the Glenn Rice. You know what I mean?
Jordan, Shaq, and that Beam team, should they be the same price?
I like the Shaq. The Shaq, that was a huge chase card from like,
that's his rookie. But the last auction, a PSA 8 and a PSA 8 Jordan and a PSA 8 Shaq Beam team ended at the exact same price, and it just got me thinking, like, should they be the same?
When they were, I remember in 92, 93 when those things came out, the Jordan sold for $100 raw out of the pack, and the Shaq sold for $150. Like, I remember walking around shows where people had them in their cases, and that's what they were selling for.
Okay. So right now they're 1-to-1 basically in the PSA 8s. I haven't done all the research. Kate, did you see that post by Slab Stocks where it was the 2 flawless Logo Man Zion and Shaq?
There was a Logo Man Shaq? No, I didn't see it.
Logo Man Zion and Ja.
Yes, but they were not the same card, were they?
They were the exact same card, and all of these posts, and no one commented on the fact that there was a $140,000 difference between the two of them.
There was 104. That's why I said they're not the same card. One was $36,000 and one was like 180.
Exact same card.
Really? Ja is now 6 times the price of Zion?
No, this is... I wanted to hear if you even had a take because it's an interesting take.
No, I don't. Those posts, there's a mistake in them.
I'll pull it up for you guys. Where is it?
This is Slab Stocks page, everyone. Give them some credit. Go check out their stuff. Here you go, little Slab Stocks. Guess the price. That's a Waddle. They did a Jordan Love post today. Made me feel stupid for selling all my Jordan Love. That's not it.
That's it.
It's
the exact same card, brother. Panini flawless. Rookie. Logo man 1 of 1. I can't believe no one talked about this.
Did they both sell?
Same day. They were side by side. This was the first time the Zion hit the market. This one apparently was up 21% from the last one.
So the Ja sold for $144,000. The Ja sold for $100,000 more than the Zion. Wow.
I thought manipulated. That's why I wouldn't have used that in the post.
Because I mean, that's interesting. Are people finally giving up on Zion? That's playing well.
This is where cards are not like stocks. I guess that maybe that's the takeaway. Because those are the exact same cards, no matter what, in an efficient or even a close to an efficient market. Zion should sell for 36, Ja for 50. You know, they're selling right next to each other. They're literally.
So your take on that is that Zion is right priced and Ja is too much, not that Ja is right priced and Zion should have been more.
One of them is off. We don't know which one.
But you immediately went to it should have been 36 and 50 rather than it should have been 144 and 110.
Well, it's not an auto. It's like a logo man rookie. You would think it's like a $50,000 card. My point was more like we sometimes talk about cards as stocks or not. Like stocks are efficient. That shows how inefficient a market can be. That's the thing. That in front of your eyes shows how inefficient a market can be when two identical cards of two basically identical prospects that came into the league for at the same time, like as close to apples as it could get, sold for a difference of 36 and 144 right in front of your eyes.
A 1 of 1 just needs 2 people.
Fascinating. Anything else? I mean,
no, you didn't like my set conversation. I tried to get you to tell me who from the World Cup you were going to buy. You said Pele. I mean, I really tried this episode, and you did not help me at all. You really need to go.
I think an interesting story. I think an interesting story will be what happens if Portugal wins this World Cup.
Why?
Ronaldo's cards and his image has been kind of beat down the last 6 months, and I'm looking at his cards and I'm like, Ronaldo's about this is a very good team, and I think this is where it's interesting. I think Argentina looked terrible versus Mexico. But they're actually both teams are kind of in the same spot. They're going to advance. But to me, the Portuguese team seems like the most complete team.
All right. I mean, I guess we'll see. Listen, round of 16, anything can happen. Anybody catch a little fire? We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't think the U.S. is going to win. You've seen who the most complete teams are. I mean, France looks really good. Portugal looks good. You know, I mean, they haven't been like runaway winners, though. They've done enough. And we talked about this after the last one. They get a lead, they can grind it out on defense. That's kind of, their style. So, yeah, man. I mean,
do you think 2018 Prism will eventually be a set build? Or is there too much of them out there?
You mean like a base set graded?
I don't know. Like I've never set build, so
it's too big of a set. I think there's too many cards in it. You know what I mean? Like,
what do you think is a future release that will be set build that's not set build now? Like Kaboom from 2012 or the first year Kaboom?
Yeah, the first year Kaboom, which it'd be difficult to set build that because there's just not a lot of them. You know, and they get even rarer in the years after, like 2014. That's my favorite one. The what is it? Excalibur. The one that I think was like a Target only.
2016 is the Excalibur, right?
No, I think it was multiple years in Excalibur, actually.
2014, 15, 16 then? Because I saw Curry's 2016, and it's clearly a different design. It has like a black border around it too.
Yeah, that's a different one also. No, I'm 99.999% sure that it was 2015, 2014 Excalibur, the one that I'm talking about they're rare as hell. I have a LeBron, so I can tell you exactly what it is in a second.
In a 10? In a 10?
It is 2014 Panini Excalibur Kaboom, just like I said. Yeah.
In a 9.
No. I own the only 10.
Dude, you guys want to know Cage's pet peeve? Tell him he owns a 9.
I don't own a 9. I own 9s. Let's see if I have a 9
Of
in
Babe
here.
Ruth Goudies.
No, I wish. That would be really nice. I have a 7. Is that a 9? I have an 8.
Most polled say 6 to 9 is where is the sweet spot. Now, let me ask you something. What's a future set that will be built?
It's got to be something that is like the checklist is only 100. You know what I mean? So a future set. How about?
Because that's your lucky number?
No, because that's what makes the 86 Fleer set a collectible set. Like the set itself has like 132 players in it, right? You're not going to set build a set that has 300 cards in it. You know, like that's what it's make Prism impossible to build that set. It's a huge set.
People used to say you'll only run 5 miles, and then someone ran 10, and then someone else said, I'm going to run a marathon. It was 26.2 miles.
I mean, is anybody building a 2012 Prism complete set?
Gotta
in
be.
base? That would be an interesting one. I'm trying to think. What is the set like checklist? How many cards are in like a base set of like flawless? You know what I mean? Where you showed me the SGA one, right? Where it was like the 1 of 1,
the platinum 1 of 1.
Yeah. So what about the base cards in that, right? Like how much is it? 100 card set? Is it an 80 card set? Like I could see somebody like building those base card sets graded, not the 1 of 1s.
A 2012 base set, flawless.
Yeah. You know, like the base cards from that, because they're rare enough. You know what I mean? The checklist is, I think the most recent set's like still like 200 cards, but I don't know what the 2012 one was. But like something like that, something that has like, you know, a little, you know, little fun to it. It's got a cool checklist. Inserts are fun, you know, to build stuff. I mean, I can tell you, you knew when they were out what was going to be collectible when I was a kid. Like that Beam Team, when that came out, everybody knew that was going to be like a hobby mainstay as far as an insert goes.
Why? Because they're just a beautiful card.
Yeah, it was just completely different. I mean, it sounded weird. It came out the year the Dream Team was out there, and at first people all thought it was just a mistake. Oh, you mean the Dream Team? No, Beam Team.
And now the Kings are the Beam Team.
The Kings are the Beam Team?
Yeah. You didn't hear about that?
No.
Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it, so I'm just gonna leave it out there.
Explain it.
I don't know how.
You know the Kings are the Beam Team, but you don't know how to explain it.
Their something with their social media, like on Twitter and stuff.
What the hell are you talking about?
I think they put out a meme with them. They're like beaming energy, and then they went on like a 6-game win streak or something like that.
The Kings have become the Beam Team. Look at this. Beam Team.
Was the hobby when the Beam Team was released, was it equally as cynical in the sense that when something gets released, people are like, that's hideous, terrible. Why?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people hated it. A lot of people were like, what the hell is this? Why is it so shiny?
Have a seat here. Just keep building a set.
Yeah,
you don't need to worry about the Beam Team. Just go after your 1944 cards.
I mean, listen, you got to see the envelope got pushed, right? I mean, refractors came out the year after. So
that's probably anarchy. People probably boycotted the National.
Yeah, they did. They said no more. Unless you're showing up with refractors and binders that are yellow. The yellowed pages, binders.
That's what they were saying about. Well, that's another episode. That's a Monday brain dump. You guys, I mean, there's tons of stuff here. I don't even know how to recap it.
The hobby's not dying. That's the recap.
I think we need to just stay away from blanket statements in general, in my opinion. But like dying or not dying.
Oh, so you think it is dying, but I just shouldn't paint with such a broad a stroke. You think it's dying slowly?
No, I agree with what you're saying. So I do a terrible job of agreeing and then yes, and I'm a no but guy. So if any of you guys have ever done improv, like the first thing that they teach you is like move from no but to yes and I'm a no but guy. And I've done improv twice for 10 weeks. Hasn't fixed it. Made it worse.
You did improv?
Yeah, twice in New York.
Nice.
You would have a great time. It helps you get out of your head.
I would hate it unless they just told me I could teach the class. Then I'd be good.
I think at one of sometimes you do.
That's it. Listen, that then I could do it.
What you realize when you do it is how much you're thinking about what you're going to say next while the conversation or the event is going, and pre-planning, and how if you could eliminate that, quiet that, that's where all the magic is.
Really? I never think about what's coming out of my mouth. It just comes out. And,
I
and
would
most
say
people can tell.
that's why this podcast has been magical.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I could stop talking. And
Sometimes you
sometimes I
start
wish
a
you just
sentence
didn't
and you don't
at
even
all.
know where it's going. You just kind of hope to find it along the way.
We just go.
Have you ever
Listen,
seen Parks and Rec?
I have not, but people tell me I should watch it.
You love The Office.
I enjoy The Office, yes.
So thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com. or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.